What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or if you are new here, welcome. I'm the Wolfman. Today we are continuing our Virginia Film Festival coverage. This time I'm doing day 5 of the Virginia Film Festival. This is the final day, meaning the final set of reviews. The day 4 was just uploaded, and now we're on to day 5. It's been a journey doing this for you guys, but I thought it would be a great time to just talk about these final 4 films. So I'm going to go in order of how I watched them. So here is my review for Flow. This was the first film I watched today. It was an animated film, and this is one that I thought was just utterly mesmerizing and stunning. What this film is about is it's this cat, and you never really get to know the name of the cat. It's just a cat who is living in the woods, jungle somewhere. This is pretty much set up as a world where the human race has been extinct, and it's only animals living in this world. And so this cat is just, he's encountering dogs. He's going through all this other stuff, and one time, as he's walking, a flood decides to come in there and fill up the entire forest of the entire land that they know just wiped out from the water. So what happens is he comes across I don't know if it was a beaver or what animal. It wasn't a beaver. It was some other kind of, like a wombat. I don't know what kind of animal it was. It was something like that. He comes across this animal that is on a boat, and it's like a smaller, but it's like an oversized kind of big canoe kind of boat. The one that, you steer the back like this. It's one of those kind of boats. And as they're going on their way, they find the dogs that were mean to him earlier, and then they come across a bird who goes with them, and other animals, like a lemur, I think, joins them. They find all these animals, and they just go on this boat ride, this almost like a road movie. They're on this boat adventure, just trying to travel to a certain spot. They want to go to this spot up near the sky that's like safe, that they know of, and so they're trying to get there. And I was so utterly blown away by this movie. I'm going to say some stuff, and you're going to be like, those are some fighting words. I don't care. This might be the best animated film of the entire decade. The 2020s decade, this might be the best one I've seen so far. Because let me just tell you, what they do here is mind-blowing. The animation already is so stunning. But then none of the animals speak. So it is just, their animal sounds that they make in their everyday lives. And music to add on top of that, a very beautiful score that plays like throughout the whole movie because they have no dialogue. So I was utterly taken aback by this. And the reason I was so blown away is the fact that I was able to be so profoundly moved by something that had no dialogue whatsoever and was just visual storytelling at its finest. It obviously has themes of like Noah's Ark, so there is some religious stuff there, but obviously there's themes of climate change thrown in there. There's themes about community and sticking together through the hardest times. We may be drastically different, but as long as we can band together and make a difference, then that's what matters. And so it's a really, really beautiful story with a beautiful message that will leave you in tears, will have you laughing at parts, will have you feeling every emotion, and it does it without any dialogue. And it's only like an hour and a half, so it's very short. I definitely recommend seeing this. This would be my pick to win the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. I know it is Latvian's submission for Best International Feature. However, I'm worried they're not going to nominate it for Best International Feature because it has no dialogue. But who knows? If it's a big enough movie and people love it, then they'll probably go for it. This is one I feel everyone needs to see. Janus Films did it, and they did Vermilio, as I got to review earlier, and a few other films I really love. Like they just kill it every single time. And I hope this one gets like a Criterion release that I can pick up later, because I would definitely be watching this again and again. Such a layered movie that I have not done this at a film since I watched Dune 2 back in February, because I got to watch it early. Dune Part 2, when I saw it in IMAX, I remember being so utterly blown away by the visuals, by the sound, which, by the way, Flo has great sound design, but everything amongst that line, that by the time the movie was over, I literally sat there going like I had to take a deep breath because it literally took my breath away. This movie, Flow, is breathtaking. It literally took my breath away as well. It's a masterpiece of animation, and I cannot wait to see this again. I'm at a loss for words right now. That's all I can say. So Flow, don't know when it becomes available in theaters. Definitely go check this one out, because I waited in a standby line. I initially was going to go see like some boxing movie, but I didn't want to go see that boxing movie, so I waited in a standby line. I got there pretty early, and because it was completely sold out. So I was like, okay, hopefully I can get a ticket. And I did. So they gave me a ticket for the 11 a.m. showing. I saw it, and it was just truly a cinematic experience like no other for me. So let me know, guys, if y'all are excited for Flow or not, or if you guys have already seen it early at one of these other festivals. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of it. My next film I got to see is Bad Shabbos, which, if y'all aren't familiar with what a Shabbos is, it is a day of rest and worship in Judaism that takes place from Friday evening to Saturday evening. So it's this Jewish tradition, as you heard there. So it's a Jewish comedy about this family that is having their Shabbos dinner. Like, they're having a dinner, they're going to get together with family, they're going to do all this. And it's something goes terribly wrong at this dinner, and pretty much somebody ends up dying. That's all I'll say. And the whole rest of the movie is they're trying to cover it up and trying to make it look like nothing happened before things get worse. So this is a comedy, and it's so interesting to me how comedy can be so subjective to people, because everybody in the theater, including myself, was dying laughing. This is one of the funniest comedies I have seen in quite some time. I was like rolling in my chair a lot of times. I'm not Jewish, so I didn't understand a lot of like the traditions of what was going on and all that stuff. But the jokes around what was happening, the performances from everybody, and the way it was written just had me just howling with laughter. This one girl who was sitting beside me, she didn't laugh a single bit the whole movie. And then she just gets up out of her chair and walks out as soon as the movie's over. Like, everyone else was applauding. She didn't even applaud. None of that. Kind of wild stuff to me. Anyways, here's the cast. There's kind of an ensemble. They're not really big names, but they're definitely people who you've seen before. The names that I have listed here of the ensemble is John Bass, Ashley Zuckerman, Kyra Sedgwick, Milana Vaintrub. That was it. And then David Paymer, Catherine Curtin, John Bedford Lloyd, Method Man, Megan Leathers, Theo Taplitz. So quite a few people there that show up in this movie. And the ensemble is perfect. Every single character in here just works off each other. They all have a great dynamic. They all have different personality traits to them. I absolutely loved seeing the interactions between each character, and I just wanted to spend even more time with this family because on top of it just being really funny, I just thought that overall it was also really sweet and heartwarming, and just seeing these people trying to have this communion dinner was just really something special, I thought. So I loved that aspect of it. But on top of all that, the writing, the way this film is written, every line of dialogue feels earned. It feels not really forced or in your face or anything. This all feels authentic. There is over the top stuff, and not every joke lands. I will say that. Like comedies, not every single joke lands, but most jokes land. And when they land hard. The job of a comedy, right, is to make us laugh. If you can make us laugh, other things can be forgiven. So there are things in this movie that I can pick apart, that I can easily say, all right, this thing didn't make sense. That thing could have been done better. All that kind of stuff. But this film had me howling so hard with laughter that like my sides were hurting at times. Because of that, I can forgive all the other issues that I was able to notice with this film. Because the comedy did its job at the end of the day, which is to make me laugh and to make at least most people laugh. But it's all going to be subjective. So maybe none of you guys will find this film funny. I found it funny. If you're Jewish, I definitely think you're going to find this film funny. And there's other people in the theater that thought this film was funny. It was just dying laughing alongside me. It was the Tribeca Award winner for the Audience Award. So that should also tell you something. If it won the Audience Award at Tribeca, like, people really love this film. It doesn't have a release date yet, and there's no distributor for it yet. So I can't really tell you to go, or there's no trailer. I can't really tell you guys when it's coming out. None of that. But all I know is I'm definitely going to keep you posted on Bad Shabbos, because this is a film all of y'all should see, because it's such a utter blast of a film. I thought every kind of turn that it takes, this has several twists and turns in it, and it definitely works. So overall, guys, thumbs up of a comedy. At the end of the day, I laughed my ass off, and that's the most important thing. So that is Bad Shabbos. Movie I want to talk about is one called I'm Still Here. And I am still here to give you guys these reviews. This is from director Walter Salles, who Walter Salles did. He's a well-renowned director in Brazil. He did Motorcycle Diaries, which I know he earned himself a screenplay. I think it was original screenplay. I don't know if it was original or adapted, but he earned himself a screenplay nomination for Motorcycle Diaries. And then he also directed a film called Central Station, which the actress of Central Station, Fernanda Montenegro, she was actually nominated for Central Station, and she also appears at the end of this movie. So any of you guys who are Central Station fans, you'll notice them, but you'll notice her. But this is my very first Walter Salles movie. So I've not seen his other stuff, and he's done other stuff beyond that, like On the Road and a few other things. But this is really the first film I've ever seen from him, and I gotta explore his other work now after this, because man, what a film. What a film this was. If you don't know what it's about, it's 1971 Rio de Janeiro. The character of Rubens Paiva is kidnapped by a dictatorship, because a whole dictatorship is now taking over Rio de Janeiro. So he's taken by government officials, and pretty much he is supposed to give a deposition because he used to be a congressman and he got taken, and they didn't like what he did, what he pushed, and like it's something that has affected Brazil, so they had to kidnap him so he could get a deposition. But then he went missing for 30 years, and they've been trying to find him for 30 years. And so this is all based on a true story, and it is from Marcelo Paiva, which is his son, wrote a memoir, and that memoir is what this film is based on. So yeah, just knowing already it was based on true events heightened my experience even more with this, because when the film first starts off, it's almost like a hangout movie in a way. The first 20 minutes, you're really just hanging out with the family. You're seeing them go to dinners together. You're seeing them celebrate their daughter's birthday and having parties and having events and all that stuff. And it's really impactful because every single character feels so real and authentic. And you could just spend hours with them and never get bored. So then once the thing happens that happens in this movie, once it does happen, you're completely taken aback and you're on the edge of your seat hoping that this family will be okay, because it disrupts this entire family's life for years of their life, and their life is never the same. And you go through all these different periods with them. Like at one point it goes to 25 years later, and you see them grown up and what their life is like later, and looking and the events of what occurred with their father and what happened with their father. And then you get like all these different time jumps, but the way that they would cast like the older versions of these actors worked exceptionally well. They looked just like the people. It was so good. And on top of all that, the main actress is Fernanda Torres, who is the daughter of that actress Fernanda Montenegro. She's the daughter of her, so they definitely look alike. You can tell because they use that in a scene for like an older version of the main character. They used like her mom to play her, which is pretty cool. Fernanda Torres, give this girl an Oscar nomination now. This performance might just be Mikey Madison's great in Anora. Kieran Culkin's great in A Real Pain. But Fernanda Torres might just be the single greatest female performance, or just lead performance in general, that I have seen this year. She knocked my socks off with just how true to life her performance feels. Like it feels very lived in, feels natural. But then you also get like a nice subtlety to her. She's never over the top and yelling, but you can see the events of what is occurring is truly hurting her and hurting the rest of this family. And it's the way she sells it. Guys, you have to see her performance. It is so good. It is bonkers good. How, like, I can't believe someone is this good. It completely blew me away. The writing too, I really would love for this to get a adapted screenplay nomination, because the writing, as I talked about with her performance, it feels very lived in as well. Feels very natural. Feels like the way the kids talk feels exactly the way kids talk. The way the adults talk to each other feels exactly the way the adults would talk to each other. It's all feels like a natural progression, and it helps keep you invested the whole 2 hours and 20 minutes. This movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Never felt bored because I was so invested in the life of this family and what they were having to go through, and that was due to the exquisite writing and directing from Walter Salles. So great job on him for being able to do that. This is Brazil's submission for the Academy Awards, and honestly, I think that they have really good potential to not only be nominated, but potentially win. Because some people are saying that this could sneak into like Best Picture as like the 10th slot for Best Picture. I would be all for it. And if it does, I think it could win Best International Feature. This is such an important story, especially at a time we're living in right now, where we just got someone who was elected into office who runs things like a dictatorship. And this government here that's in this movie is very fascist and just very corrupt. And we're dealing with a corrupt government of our own. So this film feels very scarily relevant to our times, but just something that feels also so important and like necessary to watch. So yeah, I was utterly blown away by I'm Still Here, and just the way that it tackles themes of family, of longing for the things in life we may have missed, for all these other really great themes interwoven in there, while also just being an impactful story of each and of its own. I was moved to the point of tears with this movie, guys. I highly, highly encourage y'all check out I'm Still Here when it becomes available. Don't let subtitles bother you guys. There are some excellent films that are released that have subtitles. Trust me, this one is worth it. Just for the performances and the writing alone, it is absolutely worth it. But I mean, the camera work is really well done. I thought all the technical aspects were really well done in here, but it's really just those aspects that's really stuck out to me the most. That's my review for I'm Still Here. Let me know if that's something that you are interested in checking out in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. My next review and final review, and this is a convenient one to kind of end things on, is The Last Showgirl. This is the new film from Gia Coppola. The reason why it was so convenient to end on is, well, last is in the title, The Last Showgirl, the last film at the festival. And Gia Coppola is the daughter of Francis Ford Coppola and the sister of Sofia Coppola. And she's done films like Palo Alto, films like Mainstream with Andrew Garfield, a few other ones that I've not seen, but those two I have seen. So I wasn't as familiar with her work as I was like her sister. But having seen this, I have issues with it. Day 5 was like an awesome day for the festival because I watched like 3 great movies. Then this one was a good movie, but with something that blew me away. I'll talk about that in a second. I am interested in seeing more Gia Coppola stuff now, but this was probably the best thing I've seen from her so far. It says a seasoned showgirl must plan for her future when her show abruptly closes after a 30-year run. That's basically the plot of this movie. And this film has an all-star cast. It stars Pamela Anderson in the lead role as the showgirl. So this is Pamela Anderson's return to Hollywood and being in the zeitgeist. Then you have Jamie Lee Curtis in here. You've got Dave Bautista. You've got Brenda Song, Kieran Shipka, Billy Lord, who is Carrie Fisher's daughter. Then you have Jason Schwartzman in a great cameo appearance. He's like in one scene, but he is really great in his one scene he's in. What I wanted to point out with this film, yes, it has flaws. It's got stuff I can pick apart. Like there's certain characters that this film, there's feels like I don't do this criticism that much. I give this criticism, or I give movies being too long criticism to stuff that I've seen this year countless times. I've said several times this year that a film is too long. This one actually feels like it should have been longer. This was 85 minutes. And I feel like if you would have made this like an hour 45 minutes, mwah, would have been perfect time. You would have gotten every bit of story fleshed out, because there's some things here that they set up that are interesting. And then they start to go with it. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I want to see where this goes. Then they don't even finish that plot line. You're just like left thinking, what? So there's stuff like that that bothers me. However, what The Wrestler did for Mickey Rourke, this does for Pamela Anderson. What I mean by that is, when Mickey Rourke was in The Wrestler, his career was on a down low. No one was really seeing his movies. He wasn't able to be a household name in Hollywood. And then all of a sudden, he appears in The Wrestler to a career best performance that gets him an Oscar nomination. And in my opinion, maybe even should have gotten an Oscar win for that movie. Now, Pamela Anderson is making a comeback after years, just like Mickey Rourke did, and is absolutely awards worthy in this movie because of it being her career best performance. She knocked my socks off every single scene she was in. I was just blown away by the raw talent of Pamela Anderson. I've seen her in stuff like Baywatch and a few other things here and there, but she's never been this good, guys. And you are not prepared for how good she is in here. I was stunned by how good she was. I can't necessarily say that about the other actors. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis, she's me more than everything now. She's just kind of over the top and ridiculous in this movie. Kieran Shipka is good, but she's nothing to write home about. Brenda Song, same way. Dave Bautista is good. Billy Lord is probably the second best performance in here, but still nothing to like write home about. It is Pamela Anderson that you're going to walk away remembering. And I think the Academy is going to walk away remembering her. I think anyone who watches this movie will walk away remembering that performance. It just completely leaves you speechless what she's able to do here. And I really hope we can see Pamela Anderson in more stuff now, because I know what happened with her with the scandal with the sex tapes and everything. That really threw her career for a loop. But now that that's been way, way long ago, I hope she can make it back into the industry and be a household name again. And I think this movie would do that for her. So this is a very important movie for her career. I thought the cinematography here, the way it's shot on beautiful 35 millimeter film, was stunning. The colors were really beautiful. I thought the writing was well done for the most part. Gia Coppola knows how to direct. She's got an eye for visual storytelling for sure. You can see it. She just has to work on kind of, I think the editing and pacing of some of her movies. But overall, she's got an eye for the camera for sure. This is truly something that is not going to be for everyone. As I was walking out, there was straight up somebody who said, that movie sucked. Like, they did not like it at all. For me, I have my issues with it, and I can acknowledge the issues, but I still quite enjoyed it. And I especially enjoyed her performance in this movie. I'm glad I was here to witness that in a theater, that performance. So that'll basically do it for this review for The Last Showgirl. Not a whole lot to say here other than the fact that it also has a really good score, really good original song that they play from Miley Cyrus at the end. Other than that, not a whole lot else to say really about the film. The showgirl dance sequences are really good. That's basically all that I can really say about the film. I hope you guys can go see it. I think it has its release date set as December 13th. So be on the lookout on December 13th. I think that's its limited release. I don't know when it's going wide, but I think it's a limited release December 13th. So any of y'all who live in like New York, LA, that kind of stuff, be on the lookout for it when it releases. That'll do it for the review of The Last Showgirl. Let me know if you are excited to see it or if you have seen it. Let me know what you thought of it down below. Would love to hear your thoughts. Let me know which one of these films that you are most excited to check out. I would love to hear all your thoughts down below. I will see you all in the next video. Until next time, stay classy, my friends, and keep on watching those movies.